Hey YouTube, we're out here at the goat pasture. We've had rain all day today and all day yesterday. If you can see behind me, this tank back here, I'll probably post a picture in this video of what this tank looked like about 3 days ago before it started raining, and then you see what it is today, and it's a whole different world. This tank behind me, I'm not sure if it just if it actually leaks water or if it just doesn't catch a lot of water. We've kind of had a drier spring up until now. Maybe through the winter we didn't get a whole lot of moisture, and we've got other tanks in the place that are that are okay, but this one here and a couple others were super low. And anyhow, I've come to understand the term of a wet weather tank. We call them tanks. Some people might call them reservoirs, ponds, whatever. But basically, this is a wet weather tank, just meaning that in order for it to stay full or to kind of be where you want it to, you need to kind of have some wet weather. In the part of country that we are in, our average rainfall is it's like 32 inches a year, I think is where we're at, thereabouts, or really close to it. But we also are prone to we can be on either side of that real easy. We're not what you would call an arid climate, but we're also not a temperate climate, or more of an eastern United States type of climate with heavy rainfall and regular rainfall. We kind of have variations from year to year. So anyhow, this tank here is a representation of some of the stuff that we deal with in this part of the world, and particularly on this place. So like I said before, I'm not sure if this tank just doesn't hold water real well or if it just doesn't catch a lot of water. But we've had, sure enough, a lot of rain the last 2 days, and you can see by this tank behind me. But anyhow, we're getting ready to we're going to try to, if it'll quit raining. It was supposed to be done raining by this evening today. Well, we were hoping to move these goats. I'm not sure it's going to happen now or not, so we thought we'd go ahead and make a video. And there's been a lot of questions posted in the comment section over the course of the last, I guess 2 or 3 weeks maybe. And so I kind of compiled some of those questions and thought I'd just kind of go over them a little bit in summary. And anyhow, so we'll do that now. Pardon the paper, but I wrote some of this stuff down just so I wouldn't forget. But one question was regarding shelter for these goats. We are in north central Texas, so our climate's pretty fair. We don't get a lot of real cold weather. Wind's not terrible bad here either. So with our setup, we don't have any kind of structured shelter. I don't build any kind of buildings for these goats. They stay out on pasture year round, 365 days a year. However, in addition to our favorable climate that we have here, if you kind of look around in the background, you can see we've got a lot of brush, a lot of tree canopy, cedars, real thick canopies for these goats to get underneath and to get shelter, to get out of the wind as well. We also have a slight rolling, sometimes ravine kind of topography, to where there's usually a hill for these goats to get behind it, if it's windy out or whatever. So that's kind of how we look at that. Another question was on prices. What can somebody expect to get on prices for these nannies and kid goats? If you're not familiar with the sheep and goat market, the last maybe call it 18 months, we've had an updraft in prices. Things have kind of advanced. So going with these kind of new current prices, generally if you're going to have and that's the other thing about sheep and goat, it's very seasonal. Really high prices in the spring, traditionally lower prices in the summer, and then just kind of fair prices in the fall and winter. However, last year things you didn't get quite the summer slump that you had before, and so we market all of our kids basically in the fall. The production on pastured goats or pastured sheep as well is much more conducive for a spring kidding or lambing, and then selling those roughly 60-pound type kid goats in the fall. So spring prices I don't really subscribe to, because it's not on my production model. But in the fall, selling in the fall, you know, right now with the way things are, you can expect you know, $170, $180 a head for these kid goats that weigh 60 pounds and are, you know, pretty good shape, kind of fleshy or whatever. But that's just a commodity goat at a sale barn. You know, things will vary region by region, you know, time of year a little bit, sale to sale, but that's kind of a fair assessment. You know, roughly $3 a pound is kind of what you can get right now. In the sale barn, goats are going for over $4 a pound for the same weight class of animal, but just in the springtime. And anyhow, this coming fall, I'm not even really sure what it's going to shape up to be, but that's kind of what I plan on. The nanny side of things, if you're going to take some cull nannies into the sales to sell, you know, that's a little bit more dependent upon condition of animal, etc. But if you're buying some nannies out of the sale barn, I don't know, you know, I think under $200, 170, something in there, is kind of a fair guess. That's going to be maybe even a little bit more region specific. Anyhow, moving on, trying to cover these in a fair amount of time. Somebody asked about leasing land with no goat fence on it. You know, we're kind of doing that here. We're utilizing temporary electric up against some of these permanent fences that aren't suitable for goats. Of course, as most of you guys know, it's a 2-strand polybraid fence with, you know, step-in post. But if you're wanting to put up something temporary, I suggest you guys maybe visit Grandview Livestock YouTube channel. A guy named Greg Christensen has been doing this for a long time, and he utilizes a single strand of high tensile wire offset from these perimeter fences. He's been doing it a long time, and that would be my suggestion for somebody if price is the #1 concern on lease land. However, all that goes to say that you got to have those goats broke to hot wire. So if your goats aren't hot wire broke, that all goes out the window. If you want non-electric, you about have to look at some woven wire, some 1348-12 type woven wire would be ideal. That's 13 horizontal strands, 48 inches tall, and the vertical stays on that fence are 12 inches apart. If you guys want more description on that, just start Googling on that, and you'll see what we're talking about. If you want electric and you're money minded, I would say the single offset against a permanent fence. If there is no fence at all on the property, zero fence, you're probably going to need a minimum, you know, a 4-strand electric. But once again, you've got to have goats broke to it, and then you've got to believe that your electric's going to stay on. So some people aren't comfortable with that kind of stuff, and I don't suggest it for somebody starting out. So you know, the lease ground deal and goats is tough. It takes somebody that has some knowledge and experience. So don't want to have livestock getting out on the road or on the neighbors. So that's my take on that. Somebody had asked about theft, keeping my goats locked up and whatnot. I don't know. I'm not too concerned on the place that we're at. You know, we do lock some gates around here, things like that. Generally speaking, you know, I don't think I could go out here and catch one of these goats if I had to. I certainly couldn't catch very many of them, let alone maybe in the dark or with some pressure on me to not get caught. So I think if somebody was out here stealing goats, I might just let them have it because they probably earned it. So I don't know. How much polybraid fits on a reel? A put a 1/4 mile poly braid on my reels. Those reels that we have are just 150-foot extension cord reels, buy at the hardware store. They do sell a 100-foot extension cord reel that looks very similar. That won't work. It's not big enough. You need 150 foot, or else it's not going to happen. Somebody asked about spacing on my 2-wire temporary fence that I put up. It's 11 inches off the ground, and the top one is about 25 inches off the ground or so. I use O'Brien step-in post, not any other brand. O'Brien step-in post. There's a lot of stuff out there that looks like those posts that I use, but the plastic or fiberglass or whatever those posts are made out of is not high quality, and it's not UV resistant, and they won't last you hardly any time at all. So the O'Brien step-in post is what you want, and that wire is sitting on, I think it's the third ear from the bottom and the 6th ear from the bottom is how it goes. But that's an 11 and 25 inch spacing on those wires, and that's what I've been doing. Somebody asked about the dogs going through my 2-strand poly braid fences. Depends a lot on the dogs. I've got some dogs that will run through it and some dogs that won't. Sometimes that changes over time a little bit. I can't say the rhyme or reason, but don't plan on the 2-strand keeping your dogs in. I wouldn't plan on that. Now, it may be one thing I never really did with these dogs as puppies is really try to break them to electric fence the way I break my goats to electric fence. And it's something I haven't tried. That could be useful when dogs are young, but really, you know, the guard dog thing comes back to the dogs need to truly be bonded to the stock. They need to stay with the stock because they want to be with the stock, not because some fence is keeping them in, not because they're wearing some yoke on their neck so they can't crawl under the fence, this, that, and the other. But anyhow, like I said, I wouldn't depend on the 2-strand hot wire to keep dogs back, but not to say somebody couldn't get it done. So, also the dog feeder. Somebody asked how to keep the goats out. Well, the portable dog feeder that I have, and maybe we'll put a little video in the corner here to that video about making that dog feeder that'll have some really good specifics on it. But basically it's a crawl gate. Those dogs crawl under a gate to get inside that dog feeder, and that crawl gate, the bottom of it sits off the ground. I believe it's like 10 inches off the ground, and I'll say that in that video that I post, but basically 10 inches off the ground, and that dog will crawl under it. Now, why it keeps the goats out? Goats, they sure enough will crawl through something, but with the way that crawl gate is situated, when that goat goes to crawl underneath it, the bottom of that thing is rigid enough and solid enough that those goats have to lean up against it or push up into it, and there's something about that they don't really like. I can't say why particularly, but there's a lot of folks that use crawl gates and they get it done. They keep their goats out. Now, with that said, I've had to fire a few goats because they were crawling in my dog feeder. So it's not foolproof. It's not 100%, just like everything else in this world. So I have had goats that were getting in my dog feeder, and I got a hold of those goats, caught them, and I shipped them to the sale barn and got rid of them. That's how I solved that problem. I didn't try to work with the goats. I didn't try to, you know, do something different with them. Sold those goats. You know, 3 or 4 goats that gave me some issues, got rid of them. That's the best solution for that. I know some people have small herds and that's not a solution for them, but for us, that was the ideal solution. So anyhow, that's the answer on that. That brings me to the end of my list. Hopefully I've done a decent job of answering some of these questions. I'm sure some people will watch this video for the first time and have some more questions. We might actually go back in the video and post some more videos in the corner here as I was talking about those different questions that'll pertain to those questions and give you a little bit more detail, because a lot of these things we've covered before on some different videos in the past, and so we try to do a thorough job on that. And if you guys will cite those videos and go back and watch them, you'll probably get a little bit more information too. So anyhow, doesn't look like the rain's trying to quit anytime soon here, so I don't know, we might just can this idea of moving these goats. Don't want to do that just because these a lot of times number one, goats don't like to move in the rain, period, any of them, all of them. But also those little kid goats will probably go bed down under a bush or tree, and won't be as likely to move as their mother would be, and we don't really want that. So anyhow, we might just have to wait till tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening to get it done. But anyhow, I think Lauren's tired of holding the camera in the rain here, so we're gonna jump off here and talk to you on the next one. So hope everybody has a great day. Looking forward to the next video, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye now. There, walk up, walk up, walk up, walk up. Walk up, Tanya. Come on, push. Away, away. Girls are almost there. Here, Tanya, here. Walk up. Down. Come by. Down. Out. Come by. Out. There.